With just under a month left until the premiere of Andor Season 2, a second trailer has dropped. There was a lot of discussion surrounding the music and tone of the first trailer, using a real song and all that. I figured that trailer was for fans who didn't give Season 1 a shot. It was still thematically about revolution and rebellion and everything, but it also seemed a little lighter in tone, and some Andor fans were wondering if the second season was shifting gears. I think this second trailer is more for people who already loved Season 1 and were hoping for more storytelling just like that. I wasn't concerned after the first trailer or anything, but this new trailer is much more up my alley and what I was expecting for Andor Season 2. It's so intense, with klaxons blaring the entire time. It kind of reminds me of the early Rogue One trailers. I thought it was great, even if it's still very short at less than 90 seconds, but let's break it all down. Like I've been doing for Andor trailer coverage, I'm gonna try to lump stuff into their connected arcs, and I will start with Bix and Brasso on the farming planet. I'm expecting this to be early in the season, catching us up with all the characters who fled Ferrix in the Season 1 finale. We've seen Cassian piloting his stolen tie to the planet, and it makes sense that the season wouldn't wait very long to get all of our main cast back together. This is the most we've seen of this community, and it's a lot bigger than I was expecting. I figured it was just Bix, Brasso, Willman, B2EMO, and a few others hiding out somewhere, but they've joined a pretty large, friendly-looking group. But then we see a Gazanti-class freighter entering their orbit and coming to round people up. Those ships were used for transportation by the Empire a lot, including dropping off TIE fighters or walkers. I wonder if the Empire is here specifically for Bix, or if it's more random. Maybe the biggest takeaway I got from this trailer is the fact that a bunch of seemingly unrelated shots might connect into this. What I thought were 2 or 3 separate arcs might all be from the first 3 episodes. We've known Cassian brings that TIE fighter to the farming planet, so I figured the TIE heist would be part of the early episodes, but now we've seen shots of Cassian running around in the woods in what looks like his Scion test pilot uniform, and those people he's with look like they're involved in some sabotage and insurgent movement connected with Saw Gerrera or Valencinta, or maybe all of the above. Basically, this trailer made me get out my red string and connect a lot more dots than I have in the past, which just goes to show how big and expansive all these arcs might feel. So much is going on in what I think are just the first 3 episodes. I think we're seeing 3 distinct planets. We've got the wheat-covered farming world, then there's a grass and jungle world that I expect is also where we've seen Valencinta on some mission. Maybe all those people work at Scion Fleet Systems, where they manufacture TIE fighters. Cassian and the others could help them lead like a worker uprising as part of a mission to find and steal the TIE Avenger prototype. There's a new shot of the starfighter flying out of a window, and the landscape looks kinda snowy, so maybe that's a 3rd major planet for this arc, and it's possible it could be this snowy world from the trailer. You can see an Imperial shuttle parked outside that building, which definitely doesn't look like a TIE factory, but I'm still crossing my fingers that this might be Eriadu, Grand Moff Tarkin's homeworld. It's very similar to what we've seen of it in the Bad Batch, but there have also been some comics that show Eriadu has some jungle biomes as well. So maybe this is all Eriadu, which would be great to see in live action. Either way, the landscape of that exterior TIE shot looks similar to this shot of Saw's partisans in the rain. Maybe this is a big job to steal the Avenger and also destroy the factory. It could be really cool to see Cassian working with Saw right off the bat. I would be worried for any workers that sign up to work with him, because I doubt he'll be treating them well. We've seen the partisans leaving behind the body of a dead rebel whose uniform kinda matches that of the workers. I could see Saw sacrificing a lot of lives to hit the Empire where they might barely even notice or care. But I think Cassian will get that TIE Avenger and use it to save his friends, getting the Ferrix crew reunited. I bet the Gorman Massacre will be the next 3-episode arc. I've talked about it a lot already, and if you want a full video on what it is and why it's so important, I'll link to it in the cards. But the basics are that it's one of the final straws for Mon Mothma. The Empire kills a bunch of peaceful protesters, and it sparks stronger opposition in the Senate and throughout the galaxy. It's a catalyst for Mothma specifically to publicly denounce the Emperor, and I am so psyched that it looks like we might actually see that moment on screen. We see her in the Senate with tears in her eyes before passionately yelling that the monster will come for us all. There's a lot I'm hoping for in Season 2 of Andor, but if I could just choose one thing to happen, I've wanted to see this speech for a long time, and I hope it's on the same level of Kino Loy and Luthan and Marva's monologues from Season 1. Tony Gilroy has praised Genevieve O'Reilly's performance in this season already, and I cannot wait to see what she has to say. And I already love that shot of her looking straight up terrified in front of the Senate. If you've seen Star Wars Rebels, you know what happens. She gives this speech and has to go on the run because she's wanted for treason. We know she gets away, but Mothma in this moment, she doesn't know that. For all she knows, she could be shot in the Senate Rotunda or arrested the second the speech is over. Of course she'd be afraid. Star Wars Rebels and Return of the Jedi and most stories up until Andor have presented her as confident and unwavering at all times, and it's cool that's the image everyone in the galaxy has of her, but I love getting to know the actual woman and seeing everything she really felt. This is probably the moment I am most hyped to see. And then I hope we get to see the aftermath with her being rescued away from Coruscant. There's a shot of stormtroopers that look like they're running through the city, maybe they're preparing to arrest her. That could be an awesome speech and then an awesome escape sequence. Let's stick with Mothma a little bit more because I think we got the best confirmation so far that we will be seeing her daughter's wedding. That was pretty easy speculation based on the other trailers, but seeing Mon, Perrin, and the Skoldans walking around two figures dressed in white, yeah, that feels like confirmation. I've been guessing the wedding will take place on Chandrila, which would be great. Kinda like Eriadu, we've seen very little of Mothma's homeworld and never in live action. The white tree reminds me of the one you can see in Mon's apartment on Coruscant. Hopping back over to Cassian and Luthan, there's an exchange between them I think is very interesting. Luthan says it's a different kind of mission, and when Cassian worries that it could all go up in flames, Luthan says it will burn very brightly. I've been thinking Luthan and Cassian might actually be the cause of the Gorman Massacre, and this makes me think that even harder. Cassian is wearing his Gorman look from the other trailers, and Luthan is the kind of person to encourage the pain and suffering of common people to spark more opposition to the Empire. I think Cassian will be going to Gorman to cause the powder keg to explode, which is so dark for Star Wars, but I love the moral debates this series explores. Between the TIE Avenger heist and the Gorman Massacre and the aftermath, that covers most of the new shots in the trailer, but there are definitely more I want to discuss, like the extended look at Saw on Jedha. Previous trailers showed him in what I figured was his Jedha base, but now we get to look out the window to see Jedha City and the Dauntless Star Destroyer hovering above it. This is probably one of the few shots from the final arc. We know it takes place in the days leading up to Rogue One. Clea appears in a handful of shots, and it really looks like they're going to put her through the ringer this season. She was so calm and composed in Season 1, maybe being even more put together than Luthan, keeping him from losing his nerve. But every shot of her in this trailer, she's either crying or screaming, and I'm so curious what's going on. It's cool that she seems to know something about the Death Star. I'm sure she doesn't know its name or full purpose, but she might help spark the actual investigation that culminates in Rogue One. Along with Death Star talk, we get a shot of it and Krennic. I think it would be really cool if each arc showed the installation of a new piece of the super laser, like a ticking clock for the Rebel Alliance, which would also work well with Tarkin's line in Rogue One that Krennic has made time an ally of the rebellion. I'm guessing we'll see him in at least 2 arcs this time around, at Mothma's wedding, and there are some shots of him at the Imperial Security Bureau. This trailer also gave us the most Cyril Karn we've seen from Season 2 so far. He just gets one line while he's still a part of the Bureau of Standards, saying that there's a future for those who dare. That sounds intense, but I could also see that as words on a motivational poster in the break room to make office drones feel important. There's a future at the Bureau of Standards for those who dare. And then that's something Cyril has just taken way too seriously, like he does with everything. We don't see a lot of Dedra Meero, but both shots are pretty interesting. One is seemingly of her in her apartment with her hair down, dressed more casually, so I guess we'll see some of her home life. But I think Star Wars fans will be discussing the other shot more, because we have seen that look on countless Imperials. I think fans are going to jump straight to Force Choke, and I don't blame them, but Molly has me convinced it's a panic attack instead. It looks like she's trying to undo her collar, and her eyes aren't focused in front of her as if Vader is staring her down. I think a panic attack seems more likely for this show, but I think we could easily find a way to get Dedra in front of Vader or even Palpatine. And honestly, if I had to choose one Sith Lord to appear this season, I would like it to be the Emperor. He's so over the top and obviously evil. I would love to see Tony Gilroy's take on a black-robed dark sorcerer as the leader of the galaxy, especially if Mothma gets to deliver her speech to his face. No matter what, I think this shot is in the trailer to make all of us have this exact debate. Force choke? Panic attack? Vader? Palpatine? Maybe she is having a panic attack because she just met Palpatine or something like that. But moving on, I'm pretty sure this shot is from that same jungle-looking planet I talked about earlier, but it reminded me quite a bit of Kenari. I hope we get a little more information about Cassian's home and sister and what all went down there. I don't want all of that to just be dropped, and maybe Cassian visiting a jungle world would allow for him to have some decent flashbacks. The last shot I wanted to mention is this one of Cassian with tears in his eyes. I swear, if he is crying over B2 Emo, I'm gonna lose it. I'm so worried for him, and he's barely been in any of these trailers. Frankly, I'm worried for every character. Sure, we know where Cassian and Mothma and Saw and Krennic end up, but the rest of the characters? We have no clue. And in Cassian and Mon's cases, I think we'll have a totally different understanding of them when this series is over. Diego Luna suggested many times it would make Rogue One feel like a completely different movie, so I look forward to rediscovering it when Season 2 is over. But that's it for today. Let me know what you thought of the trailer in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Andor coverage, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page where we'll release video reactions and watch-alongs for every episode as they come out. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.